Hey Trace, how much of an emphasis has Coach Knowles put on, I guess, creating turnovers?
Uh, Creating turnovers, like yeah, I mean he puts a strong emphasis on it every day at practice. After practice, we do turnover drills. He knows that you have to turn over the ball to win. He knows defense needs to make plays, big plays to spark the offense, and he stresses it enough to create turnovers to win the game.
Now, obviously, those were a big factor in the win against K-State, and you were running stride for stride with Jason Taylor there on the fumble recovery. What was going through your head on that?
I was just so excited. I mean, those was the scoring, and then I looked up and we had the ball, and I was so excited. I don't even remember. I was just so happy.
All right, appreciate it.
Our next question is going to come from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, Trace, how's it going?
I'm doing good.
Hey, last year was your first Bedlam. Obviously, you grew up in the state and know about the rivalry and stuff. What did you learn from your first Bedlam experience, and did it kind of live up to what you think it was?
Uh, it definitely lived up to what I thought it was. It was definitely nerve-wracking. I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my life playing that game. Uh, I think it was everything that I thought it would be. It was exciting. It was fun. It was just like it's kind of like a dream come true, kind of like a movie. Like I didn't really believe it was happening until after the game. I was like, wow, I just played in a Bedlam game. So I think it was really cool.
Does that experience kind of help you maybe be a little more calm going into this one, knowing what to expect?
Yeah, I think I'll definitely come in more calm and focused this year. Just already played. I'm like OU is not like a fairy tale to me anymore. It's just another game. So I think I'm just gonna come in with a chip on my shoulder, and just come out and play more with more experience. Yeah.
What was Bedlam like for you growing up?
Well, I never really chose OSU or OU growing up. I always liked both teams. I used to go to both games. But I always rooted for OSU when they played OU because they were just the underdog, and I always like a good underdog story. So I've always been a fan of OSU. So it kind of fits that I'm here getting ready to play them this weekend.
The other thing I want to ask you, we're going to talk to Rodarius soon. How have you kind of seen him improve this season? Because his numbers, no one's really thrown at him. They're all off the charts.
Rodarius, he's crazy. I mean, he just doesn't make mistakes at practice. He improved so much from last year to this year to just finishing the play, being a leader on the field. I mean, this year he's like leading everyone around. Everyone looks to him for guidance. So I think Rodarius is probably like one of the biggest leaders on the team, biggest role models on the team for me at least.
Thanks, Trace.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Trace, good to see you again.
You too.
Hey, last year you guys were without Sanders, with the injury. What does it do for you guys to be able to have, the dynamic quarterback back that and what he brings?
I think it brings more pressure on their defense. Having a versatile quarterback who can run the ball and throw the ball, it'll definitely make them more nervous on if they blitz or if they're not. I mean, it'll definitely draw more concern for their defense, no doubt.
And what challenges does Spencer Rattler create for you guys?
I mean,
Or what do you see out of him in terms of like how do you have to game plan for him?
just put pressure on him. Just stay in his face. I mean, if you stay in his face, that's all that matters. If you stay in his face, he's going to draw turnovers, and the game won't be as bad as anybody think it'll be.
Appreciate you.
All right, last couple questions. Our next question is going to come from Ryan Breeden from the Ocali. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Trace. So you guys are – it's kind of a little bit different than how Bedlam has been in the past in the sense of you guys are higher up in the Big 12 standings. You guys control your own destiny, and you guys have a chance to even knock OU potentially out of the Big 12 title race with a win this weekend. Does it feel any different to you guys this time around, or does it still kind of feel like as you mentioned earlier, kind of like an underdog story? Or just can you tell me how it feels going into the game?
I mean, it definitely. We all know what this game means to us and what's at stake here. The locker room all week since last week's been filled with energy. Practice has definitely been more intense, more like everyone's going a lot harder balls to the wall. like we know what we have at stake. We know we're a good team and we're good enough to easily beat them. We know what's at, like we know what's going on. And it's definitely I don't think we're nervous. I think we're just ready to play.
Do you guys get motivation from last year's game?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Just like once again for the defense, just like getting ran on that counter play last year, we definitely are not gonna let that happen this year. We definitely don't want that to happen this year. So we definitely just practicing harder. Last year definitely has emphasis on this year for sure.
Thank you.
All right, our final question is going to come from Chris Becker from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey Trace, you mentioned it earlier when you were talking to Frank. You know, how much more difficult does it make it for your job as an outside linebacker to, you know, have a quarterback who can run, who can pass, who can do it all?
You said how difficult is it?
Yeah, like how much more difficult does it make that, like, your job, to knowing that this guy can create plays on his own and do it all?
I mean, it's harder to like pull your trigger. You know, like can't pull your trigger because then he can outrun you, run over you. You have to keep your edge. It definitely draws more concern in like my head. You know, creates more thought, like more thinking. I can't just go. But I mean, it's not much more of a extra concern. You just have to keep an eye out for the quarterback. Make sure you have him accounted for at every play.
Thank you, Trace.
Trace, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you. Have a great night.
Dude.
Lily, how are you?
Doing awesome.
Good. Hey, kind of a big newsy day for you here a little bit. We got the announcement of you going to the Senior Bowl.
Yes, sir.
On top of that, the Bednarik Award adding you to the midseason watch list as the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes, sir.
Maybe before we get into questions, and just your reaction to those things.
Most definitely just humble, first of all, and just thankful for the guys that got around me. You know, without those guys, my job wouldn't be as is looking on film. You know, all the great work I'm doing is definitely coming from other guys around me and putting me in a better position to make plays.
From an individual standpoint, has this season been what you hoped it would be?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I came back for a reason, man, and just gonna keep putting on good tape, man, and keep showing people that I belong and I'm one of the greats.
What did you do different maybe in the offseason this year to build up to this year?
I really just dialed in and trained, man. I took advantage of the pandemic. You know, a lot of guys sat around, man. I just trained every single day, you know, day in, day out, you know, and I'm constantly training.
Was it kind of a traditional type of training routine, or, you know, with everybody kind of being at home and being separate from Coach Glass and all those resources, what did training look like for you?
It was definitely ramped up from previous years, you know, just having like a lot of guys around me that's in a higher position than I am from NFL, you know, whereas like my brother and my coach and my dad actually putting hands on from me and my brother being home for so long, you know, I really took training to a whole nother level, you know, and I'm glad that I did.
Well, it's good to see good things happening for you. We're proud of you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So members of the media, if you have a question for cornerback Rodarius Williams, please click raise hand and we're going to try and get to everybody. Our first question is going to come from Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Rodarius, how's it going, man?
It's going awesome.
Good. Hey, you mentioned your brother. Talk about your relationship with him. Tell us what it's like kind of watching him in the NFL and learning from him.
It's definitely critical, you know, on both ends. You know, I give him trash talking, he give me trash talking, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, that make both of us, you know, just great corners. You know, we don't have that relationship where we gonna lift each other too high. You know, we always keep each other grounded. You know, and he just called me about the invite and stuff like that with all the attention I'm getting, just giving me like tips of like when he started getting recognition and notoriety from all across the world, you know, what they expect and how to handle things, you know. So just taking tips from him, you know, and just being well-rounded, you know, and staying humble.
What is his reaction to the season you're having?
He don't want to give me too much credit, you know. He told me he'll let me know once the season over, you know, how he feels. So he just always tell me things that I can work on and get better at.
You mentioned your workouts with him and your dad and Glass and all those. And in preseason too, you also mentioned watching film more. Is that still what you can pinpoint as why you're having so much success, or is there something else?
Most definitely, you know, that is one of the key reasons why I'm having the season that I'm having, you know, and just staying in the film room, you know, just watching guys' tendencies, releases, and what to expect in certain formations. You know, just being a student of the game.
How are you handling the success? You mentioned Greedy's kind of telling you that too. How are you handling success?
I think I'm handling it real well so far, you know, and just staying humble, you know, just keeping a level head, you know, don't let the outside world get to me because, you know, it's always one foot in front of the other, you know, one day at a time, you know, and don't let this media lift me too high than what I am.
Well, I'm going to steal a bit from Gavin a little bit here. Sorry, Gavin, but I'm going to read some stats from PFF that you had this season.
Yes, sir.
You've been thrown at 15 times and allowed 6 receptions. You own the state of Kansas, by the way. Kansas and Kansas State didn't even throw at you.
Mm-hmm.
You've allowed, I think, 38 yards receiving. What do you think when you hear those numbers?
I just really take it into consideration that, you know, I got great guys around me, you know, with Coach Knowles putting me in great position, you know, from the outside world, they may think that I'm just doing this superhero job, but, you know, it's a lot of guys that got hands on to what I'm doing, you know, and come from coaches and you know, my family members, you know, and I'm just taking everything one day at a time, you know, and those are great numbers, you know. I don't think this has been done, you know, even in the Big 12, you know, so I'm just trying to keep it up.
And finally, for me, with OU, they have such talented receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a chance for you to kind of make a statement personally, too, on top of the Bedlam aspect of it?
Oh, yeah, that's most definitely one of the things that's making my head, you know, but at the end of the day, I don't let a game become bigger than a game, you know. So I know they got talented wide receivers and we got a talented back end. So it's going to be a dogfight. And this is a game that we live for, man. You live for high competitions. I don't like easy games. I don't like people not throwing at me. You know, I want to be challenged, you know. So I hope that those guys throw the ball to me every time, you know. So I'm just ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Rodarius.
Sir.
Our next question is going to come from Cody Nagel from Go Pokes. Go ahead, Cody.
Hey, Rodarius, how much of an emphasis has Coach Knowles put on, I guess, creating turnovers in practice this season? Obviously, they were pretty big in the K-State win.
He put a huge emphasis on turnovers. You know, we work on turnover drills every day after practice, you know, just getting our hands on the balls and stripping balls, getting balls out, you know, because it's going to help our offense. You know, the more turnovers we get, the more chances our offense get to score the ball, and that's what we need.
All right, appreciate it.
Sir.
Our next question is going to come from Ryan Breeden from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Rodarius. Like you said a few minutes ago, it kind of goes without saying how important Bedlam is. And you guys, in your time here, have had some very close ones with OU. But this time around, you guys are higher up than them in the Big 12 standings. You guys have a chance to get a pretty big win and maybe even like send OU out of the Big 12 race. Is there something about this game this year that feels different going into Bedlam than any of your other years?
Yeah, man. Like going back from previous years, man, OU been kicking my butt since I stepped on Oklahoma State campus, you know. So, and finally this year, man, I feel like we gonna, you know, shake some things up around here. You know, I feel like this is gonna be the year. You know, everything is in our favor. You know, and you know, not to backtrack on anything, but as you see from Texas game, you know, we were that close. You know, and being that close, it shows that, you know, we're a team that we can do it, man. And I think everybody on the team got faith that we can do it, and we just gonna show up and play.
Do you get motivation from the past outcomes of the Bedlam games you've been a part of?
Oh, most definitely, man. Watching those games, like I had ups and downs through Bedlam, you know. So I'm definitely been looking at previous films, wondering, you know, how would they attack me. So I'm looking at old films, you know, and I'm, you know, angry at me, you know, I'm fired up. Like I'm like, man, yeah, it's time to roll.
Thank you, Rodarius.
No problem.
Love your energy, Rodarius.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, our next question is going to come from Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Rodarius, where's your nickname come from? Lee?
My aunt, my middle name is actually Lee, and she just combined it, Lee. So RIP, she had passed away. So, but yeah, she had gave me my nickname. She just combined the Lee.
So that's been there since you were a little kid then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Now, you mentioned that she passed away. I know you were hit with quite a bit of tragedy last year. Was she one of the ones that passed away last year?
Yeah, she was one of the ones that was in the line of my tragedies.
I can't remember the exact details. Can you? I don't want you to have to go into it too much, but kind of explain a little bit of what happened.
It was just like bad health issues. At first they had to amputate her leg. She was in a wheelchair. And they gave her like so long to live, but her time came before the period that the doctor said she was gonna live. Just found her like fell over out the wheelchair in the house. Just something that we was looking forward to, but not so soon.
And there was like 4 people in the span of not very long, right? That passed away in your life.
Yeah, it was happening like back to back real fast.
How impactful was that on you?
That was real impact, just kept me grounded, and keeping the circle that I got very close to me just made me reach out to people more, with the football schedule being so demanding. Like I'm not able to like talk to family as much. So that really just made a toll on me to reach out to family members as much as I can and just tell them I love you.
All right, man. I didn't mean to bring things down there, but
it's all right, man.
You stayed in contact with AJ Green at all?
Yeah. I talk to him pretty much all the time. He just tell me the same thing, man. Just stay level-headed. His process didn't go as well as mine is going so far, but he still got, some tips of what it's like up there. So just taking everything into consideration, taking everything slow.
Good deal. Thanks, Rodarius.
Our next question comes from Chris Becker from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Rodarius, how are you today?
Oh, awesome, man.
So, with a guy like Spencer Rattler that you have to go up against this week, he can run and he can throw and he can create plays. When the defensive line seems like they can get him, he can get out of the pocket and he can extend plays. How much more difficult does that make your job, as a corner to, you got to stick in coverage that much longer with a guy who can extend plays like that?
This is where you're being battle tested at. Like I said previously, this is a game that we love, and it brings it back to practice, just watching Spencer, his work ethic and what he can do to extend plays, it's just like practice for me and for the defense. We kind of used to it, so we don't really get too high on it.
Right. And I guess you see a lot of similarities between him, Spencer Sanders and Spencer Rattler?
Yeah, definitely the same tendencies. Some people may compare one of them higher than the other one, but I feel like, they're the same. Both the guys can make plays.
Awesome. Thank you, Rodarius.
Sir.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner from the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Rodarius, good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
I want to ask, in terms of you covering, how important is that D-line in making sure they don't leave you out there, covering for too long and getting the pressure on the quarterback?
That's made a difference from this year and previous years. We got guys that's hungry. Like, man, I'm trying to get 2 sacks a game, and that's good, man. So got everybody on board. Like, everything is clicking on all cylinders, man. People are surprised by the defense, but it's been like that since fall camp. We all been just buying in and knowing that we can make the individual play.
And how much, I'm assuming it's a lot more enjoyable to be able to play like that when everything is clicking. And just how fun has this year been for you?
It's been real fun, man. Like, as you can see, like when someone makes a play, man, the whole defense just gets so amped up, man. And it just shows the chemistry that we have built so far, man. And it's real good to play with guys that truly love you. It's deeper than a game on the back end. Like, you can ask any defensive player by any player on defense, and they're gonna be the same thing, man. It's all love.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right, our final question is going to come from Dean Rule from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Dean.
Hey, Rodarius, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
My question to you is kind of like what I asked Trace, but what role are you going to have to fill, as well as what role are the defensive backs as a unit going to have to fill if you guys are going to come up successful on Saturday?
One thing that I've been harping on this week is, whether it's me or anybody else that's in the secondary, one of us is going to get hit, and once we take that hit, how are we going to respond? So my main thing is, man, keeping guys' heads up and keeping the spirits high. I feel like my role is to be a true leader. I've been here before. A lot of guys been here before, but I feel like with the seniority I got, just keep everybody level-headed, man. And like I said, Spencer Rattler's going to make plays. They got great guys. They got great coaches. They going to make plays, so we don't have to respond. Sir.
Darius, that'll do it for the questions. But before we cut you loose, any last thoughts, any things that you want to say that maybe we missed? Just go ahead and take us home. What you got?
Believe in us now before it's too late. That's what I'm gonna say. Believe in us now before it's too late, man.
All right. Well, we're thankful for you. We appreciate you hanging out with us here after practice. Go ahead and have a good night.
Sir, appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Members of the media, thank you as well. We appreciate you as always.